How's it going, everybody? Fernando, the Lone Star Halo, Mr. Todd Fox, and a face. It's been a while since she's been around the infield, but she's back now, nevertheless. Susie of Bourbon and Baseball. We are here to talk all things AL West. Of course, the Astros and the Angels are going to be the emphasis. All that and more coming up next.
One, two, three, go! Oh, 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 oh. From Texas to Anaheim, we're bringing the heat. Don and Fernando got the news every week. Walk-off strikeouts, who's making a name? Who's in the clutch and who's taking the blame? Lone Star Halo, talking baseball, here we go. Big hats, bad calls, who's gonna rise and who's gonna fall?
Hey, welcome into another episode of the Lone Star Halo podcast here on the Halos in the Infield Baseball Network. As 2025 is upon us finally, and today we're going to talk X's and O's, what's on the field only, for the most part, and the division. And who better to invite than the beast from the, Southwest Houston area of our division? Not you being the beast, but the team that you follow, Susie.
I mean, I could be a beast. You don't know.
Oh.
I'm a secret undercover beast.
Uh-oh.
That's weird. We're not going to go down that path. Anyhow, that song is new since the last time I've been here.
It is.
You got a new snazzy intro song? Look at you, all big time. I like it. Good job, guys.
Thank you, and thank Randy for that. Yeah, he really caught the essence of what Fernando likes. He loves that type of music, which is what the throwback to the mid 2000s music.
Yeah, I like a lot of 2000s pop punk.
Yeah.
So
I appreciate that.
Awesome.
I do.
Well, Susie, a lot has changed since we last spoke from last season. Obviously, you guys won the division. We'll get to how optimistic you are of that happening again. But how have you been since then?
Good. I was only mildly crushed when, the Astros traded away my absolute favorite of all time. And by mildly crushed, I meant, sobbing hysterically in the Walmart parking lot in my car. Yeah, that's fine. It's okay. The trade piece from that trade, though, apparently is Meteor, literal aircraft carrier. Apparently he's, the apple of all of our eyes. So everyone's all, don't be sad. I'm like, I have to be sad. But, Cam Smith is making it a little less painful that we had to
It could have been much worse, right? It could have been one of those like full on your face type of trades.
Yeah. So, I'm okay over here. And everyone's like, oh, how do you feel about Breggy being gone? I'm all cool. Like, go pedal your salsa in Boston, Breggy. Okay. So that one doesn't hurt. It's the Kyle Tucker.
What did you think about the Bregman contract? Did you think that was fair as somebody who's watched him? I mean, did the Red Sox overpay?
Yes and no. I mean, is Alex Bregman worth that contract? Who knows? I mean, he has all of the quote unquote intangibles, the clubhouse veteran leadership that that team has really needed for, I don't know, the last 3 years since they traded Xander. As much as Rafi tried to be that guy, like Rafi doesn't want to be that guy. He wants to go play ball, and that's it. He don't want to talk to nobody. He doesn't want to be interviewed. Even though he can speak a little bit of English, he's going to use the interpreter, speak Spanish. And he doesn't want to be that guy. And you got like Jaron Duran, Tristan Casas being the guys. And you're all, Boston Red Sox, what's happening here? Like Rob Refsnyder, the journeyman that's not really a star that's like talking. You're all, So, the fact that Breggs is there, and 0 for 4, 4 for 4. He's gonna be the same guy. Yeah, they've needed that, and so I'm not gonna begrudge the Red Sox. I'm gonna begrudge Alex Bregman for kind of stringing the Astros kind of along, and putting it out there that it's really not really about the money. It's more about the long term contract. No, Breggs, just say it's about the money, because if it wasn't, you would be in Detroit. Like, if it wasn't, you just say that you wanted to go to Boston. Like, that was your final destination. That's where you wanted to go. Just admit it. I don't understand why you got to play all the games. So, I'll never begrudge players for going and getting the bag, because they're only going to get paid what people are willing to pay them. So,
Yeah, you're only going to get paid what the market dictates, right? I
yeah.
mean, some people are upset. Like, man, how can Juan Soto make more money than Shohei Ohtani? That's because that's what the market chose. You know what I mean? It's like, don't hate the player, hate the game.
Absolutely.
So, let me ask you this. Now, there was a lot of rumors that the Houston Astros were looking long and hard at Nolan Arenado. Why did I blank on his name? Obviously, Nolan Arenado said, hey, I'm not going there. Was there any part of you that A, wanted that, and B, was disappointed it didn't? Okay, all right.
Absolutely.
Please elaborate.
I did not want Nolan Arenado. We're going from a quote unquote aging third baseman to an even older third baseman. What are we doing here? No, stop it. Like, we're trying to get younger with the team. Why? And everyone's like, oh, well, no, don't talk to me about Nolan Arenado's defense. Don't talk to me about Nolan Arenado's nothing.
He
That
is
fell
an
off.
elite defender, though.
That the defense had been very good, elite. Last year it fell off a little bit, and it had. I'm assuming, because I am of the age where I sneezed violently 7 times in a row and my neck muscles seized up. So I can only imagine what an aging Nolan Arenado, trying to dive, getting a foul ball is going to do. Like, that's going to do things. Now, granted, I understand that he is, an elite athlete, and probably most likely in much better shape than I am. So, but it's only going to get worse from here, and like downhill. I wanted no part of Nolan Arenado. None. Absolutely not.
Even with that short perch in left field, you didn't see him hitting a few bombs out there.
Nope, don't give a fuck. Nope. I did not want Nolan Arenado on the team, and the fact that at the trade deadline last season we tried to go get Isaac Paredes for third base. I'm like, give me Isaac Paredes. I will take Isaac Paredes. I will take that in a heartbeat over Nolan Arenado.
Well, the way it is right now, and obviously the Houston Astros are in a predicament because they are trying to get younger and then not lose relevancy at the same time. They seem to be a team that wants to keep competing for that division title every year while undercover rebuilding. Do you see much in that farm system that is allowing that to progress, or is this going to be the first year that we see them take a dip?
No, I think we've got a couple more. I think we've got a couple more years before that really happens. And I will never doubt this farm system, this quote unquote really sucky, underrated farm system, because this farm system has, pumped out Christian Javier and Luis Garcia and, Jake Bloss, Joey Loperfido, and Will Wagner, like trade pieces that have gone other places for big names. And it's always those type of undercover names that are a little bit more underrated and, are not going to be flashy, but are going to produce. And so I won't ever doubt our farm system, our scouts, and then everyone's like, oh, the farm system sucks. Well, but didn't our AAA team just like win a championship of all of the AAA teams? Isn't that a thing? And everyone's like, oh, that doesn't matter. If it doesn't matter, then why are they doing it? What that? Okay, sure.
Hey, I mean, the Angels had 2 farm system teams, 2 seasons ago, that competed for deep playoff runs, and that really hasn't materialized just yet. So
Well, sir,
I will say that.
your owner says, you know what? Our guys, they don't even need the farm system. We're just gonna bring them just right on up. Like they don't even need any at bats. Don't throw a pitch. None of it.
Well, you know how in the draft in the NFL they put their jersey on them, and you're just right on the team. You know, you're not practice squad. You're just right into spring football. I think it's the same thing with baseball. I think Artie thinks, well, you know, we just put Christian Moore in that red jersey when we drafted him in the first round. Well, that's exactly what he's wearing next season. You know, but yeah, it's kind of annoying, but that should tell you at least your farm system, although is being disrespected in the media, isn't anywhere close to as bad as ours. Because again, I mean, the literal saying of, hey, he had a cup of coffee down in the minors. Well, that's about as much as they get down there in Rocket City and Salt Lake.
Yeah, I was very. I still don't understand the whole mindset on that. Is it Artie? Is it Manasian? Like what? Who's driving the bus there? That's thinking. You know what? These guys, they don't need any seasoning anywhere. Just bring them on up and throw them on in, and let's go. Like, what's the plan? Do we know? No.
Plans, Fernando? Are you aware of such things?
Yeah, no, the Angels don't do that. They just kind of wing it, see what happens.
Okay.
Look, I'll say this in all seriousness: the Angels have done a decent job creating the foundation of the team. Right? I think a lot of people who follow the AL West have admitted as such. Like, hey, we can at least see where the Angels are going. Is that going to help them right now? No, I don't. If I'm being honest, I don't think so. I think this will be the most competitive this division's been in a while, but that's more so because of some potential subtractions for some other teams, and we'll get to that. I think the biggest thing the Angels did and are doing going into this season is addition by subtraction, right? You got rid of Griffin Canning, you got rid of Patrick Sandoval, two guys who in the pitching rotation were extremely inconsistent. You replaced him with old friend Kikuchi, you say Kikuchi, who is a much more proven and healthier version than Patrick Sandoval. You got rid of Griffin Canning and you replace him with Kyle Hendricks, who, once again, much more proven and cheaper version of Griffin Canning. So those are just a couple of examples. I think the team has done a decent job in building out the bottom. The issue with the Angels has always been Trout got hurt, Rendon got hurt. Of course he did. The guy sneezed too hard. Not only did his neck muscles seize up, he also broke his back.
Right.
You know? So then you got to throw literally Todd out there because, hey, we don't have any depth. You know, hey, grab the peanut vendor. Yeah, you could probably hit better. So with all that being said, I feel like now it won't be as big of a decline from Zach Neto to whoever the hell is running the popcorn stand today.
Okay, that's fair. Did Tim Anderson make the team?
Yes,
he did. Yes.
Is he your starting second baseman?
No.
Is he the bench bat?
Yeah, he's a bench guy.
Okay.
But see, we got, you know, when we got Newman when Neto comes back, you know, we're feeling good about Renifo. Moncada's going to be ready to go for opening day. So there's some pieces there where you feel pretty confident that, you know, they should stay healthy. And, you know, I think the biggest thing is, you know, if they can come close to what they did pitching wise last year, hitting is where, you know, it's going to make the difference for this team wins and losses. If they're able to stay consistent, make contact or draw walks, that's going to be a huge difference. And that's what I'm counting on this season.
Okay. Interesting.
So let's before we really start talking about the division, I want to ask, what's your opinion on the Astros offseason? You dived a little bit into it, but for, you know, our audience that doesn't pay attention to the Astros in any way, shape, or form, what are the biggest additions and subtractions other than, you know, Kyle Tucker and Bregman, which you already touched on?
Right. Well, Christian Walker, our veteran, quote unquote, first baseman. If you haven't been paying attention to the Astros for a few seasons, it's been a hot minute since we've had a good first baseman, defensive, offensive, otherwise. So it's been a big black hole over there, literally. So now Christian Walker from the D-backs comes over, has won the Gold Glove for the NL at first base for the last 3 years. Defense is one really big thing that has kind of declined, especially in our infield over the seasons, and so that really shored that up. Isak Paredes, like I said, coming over in that Kyle Tucker trade, is now at third base, which, while his defense is not as good as Alex Bregman, is above average. We'll take it. And, our second baseman is now our left fielder. If you didn't know who our second baseman was, our short king, Jose Altuve,
And
is
what
now in
is
left field.
and sorry to interrupt, but what is your thoughts on that? Because he hasn't looked exactly fabulous out there in left.
No, he hasn't. But who who is going to?
Yeah, growing pains, right?
The fact that he's been at second base for 14 years, and that's literally the only position he's played for 14 years, and he is a kid in a candy store now, though. I mean, the fact that he's out there and he's making plays, and and he is growing and talking, and you can see like the wheels turning in his brain, trying to figure out like the routes that he needs to take, and it has kind of invigorated him to the point where it's, I don't want to say he seems more like he loves the game, because I don't think he's ever stopped loving the game, but I kind of like reignited that passion of like learning something new, because what are you going to do after 14 years?
Yeah, it gets almost kind of tedious in a way,
Mhm.
right? You know what I mean?
So
I will say Jose Altuve for the longest time was at the peak of the second base market, right? He
Yeah.
was one of the top second basemen in the sport for so long. So I get where you're coming from. Now you're almost at the bottom, or at least having to prove yourself that you're not down there.
yeah, and so no one will ever convince us otherwise that the bat won't play. Obviously, that's why we've moved him over to left field, because we need the bat in the lineup, right? So, there's going to be growing pains out there. Just there's no ifs, ands, buts about it. But he is such a consummate professional and such an athlete, and he has literally been told his entire life that you can't do it, you're too small, you're not fast enough, you're not athletic enough. Like, he's literally been told that his entire life, and his entire life he has gone and shown you, yes, I can. So, hot take, left
Yeah,
field Gold Glover Altuve. I'm just saying, if Juan Soto can
Well,
get
this
nominated
year,
for a
huh?
Gold Glove, yeah. If Juan Soto can get nominated for a Gold Glove, Jose Altuve can get nominated for a Gold Glove. I'm just saying.
I
I'll give you
haven't
that
seen
one.
him throw yet. One more question on Altuve before we move along, if you don't mind, Fernando. His
Oh,
arm strength, what would you rate it? 1 to 10, 10 being the highest.
Is Noodle an option? Because that's it's his arm strength isn't great, but again, I think the positioning of him, the positioning of Jeremy Pena, like that, like the cutoff guy is gonna be really important.
So if he pitches the ball to the center fielder, that'd be a good throw.
Oh God, no. Jake Myers has even less of an arm than Jose Altuve. No,
So you
no.
got two Juan Pierres out there?
If I could strap Jake Myers to a rocket and send him to the moon, I would. Yeah. That at no point in time is Jake Myers or Altuve going to be lauded for their arm strength. Now, Cam Smith, on the other hand, that boy's got an arm. So, once he gets his routes down in right field,
Well, in a
it'll be
close
good.
game, do you see the managers saying, "Hey, you know what, Altuve, the center fielder, we're going to have defensive replacements"? Like, say for instance, it's the 8th inning game. They've already had their at bats. They're not going to see another at bat as long as they keep the lead. Do you see them making that defensive replacement or two
Yeah.
in the 8th inning?
Yes, for sure. And that's
Okay.
where Chas McCormick will step in, and Cam Smith making the team. Again, our lauded apple of our eye trade from the Kyle Tucker trade from the Cubs, supplanted Chas McCormick, who was our everyday right fielder. And last year, Chas just had a horrible year, just very, very, very bad. And in 23, though, 23 he was superb, and that's the guy I need him to get back to. So in the late innings, you will see Chas McCormick out there. He'll probably pinch hit for Jake as well, and so he's really who I want out there in center field.
Okay.
But the bat, Jake Myers apparently is a better defensive guy than Chas by, like, I don't know, a hair. And so they're keeping Jake for the defense, and he's going to run down all the balls.
All right.
So
Did our friend, old friend, Angels legend Luis Guillorme, did he make the team?
he did not.
Okay.
And it
He had a
makes
pretty
me
good spring from what it looks like.
Yes. And I really truly thought that he was going to. Like, I really thought that he had a chance because we don't have any left-handed bats besides Jordan in the lineup. And begrudgingly, I really thought that Mauricio Dubon is going to be our everyday second baseman, and those words coming out of my mouth taste like soap. So I thought that Luis Guillorme, being left-handed, could platoon with him. And apparently that didn't happen. I wasn't aware that Luis Guillorme was as good defensively as he is. And so, he's out there picking balls and making throws from his knees, and I'm all, damn, Luis Guillorme, look at you. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
great. Can't hit water if you fell off a boat.
but he was, I take it back. He had some really good at bats, and he was hitting better than Mauricio Dubon. Let me just word it that way. And the fact that Luis would go up there and wouldn't first pitch swing into a ground out or a line out or a pop up, I'll take it, because that is what Mauricio Dubon is doing.
So
yeah,
Dubon, he's the Honduran guy, right?
yeah.
Yeah, that's the only reason why I know him, because my girl's Honduran and she roots for any player that's in any kind of sport that's from Honduras. So she's like, "Oh, Dubon's awesome." I'm like,
Yeah, no, he's a great personality, and he is beloved by the Astros fan base because he's such a good guy. He is. He's got the personality, got a smoke show of a wife, adorable dogs, beautiful child. Not the best baseball player. Not the best baseball player. And it pains me that was kind of the plan. And I'm like, no. Mauricio Dubon is best used as a bench bat, as a util bench bat. That is his role. And he doesn't need to be gaining 500 at bats at second base. So, but Brendan Rodgers made the team. I think Brendan Rodgers will probably get the lion's share, hopefully, fingers crossed, of the second base at bats. And that makes me happy. So
I want to open up the door here for a discussion. Now, I think I might know Susie's answer. Is Yordan Alvarez the best player in the AL West?
I will say Yordan Alvarez is the best hitter in the AL West.
Okay. So yeah, let's have that discussion first.
Okay.
Yordan Alvarez, best hitter. Okay.
Yeah.
Confirming that. Todd, in your opinion, who's the best player in the AL West right now?
I'd have to go Rodriguez in Seattle. Best player or best hitter?
Best hitter right now. We'll talk best pitcher right after this.
If he had more of a supporting cast, I'd say Rodriguez. But now I think about it, I would have to go Alvarez just because of supporting cast. Because I think when Rodriguez has enough protection around him, I don't think there's anyone better right now except a healthy Trout, and we haven't seen that in years.
Yeah, I think if we're talking, 5 years ago, I think the answer was objectively, Mike Trout, because at that point, Ohtani hadn't Ohtani'd yet.
No, it was Anthony Rendon. That's what it was.
Yeah.
It was 2019 Anthony Rendon. That's the answer.
Exactly.
By the way, Susie, I am not crying a tear, and I don't mean to be mean, but I am not shedding a tear for Tucker being gone. That dude hit Angel pitching blindfolded. So
I'm aware.
I can't stand that guy. I'm glad he's as far away from the West as possible. That's no offense to you, but
wasn't there another guy the Astros just got rid of also that killed us? There was another guy in the division that just left, and I'm blanking who it was.
Well, I know how much Susie loves Maldonado, but at least against the Angels, Maldonado was an Angel killer. So,
well, now you only have to deal with him, when you play the Padres. So
3 games a year, 2 or 3 games, whatever it's going to be every year. I can live with that.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so best hitter, that's tough. Yeah, it's going to be Jordan Alvarez, or I think it's going to be Corey Seager. It's going to be one of the two.
Now,
Um,
again, this is going to taste like soap coming out of my mouth because I don't ever want to give the Rangers or the Rangers organization any sort of praise or nice things said about them. So, if for some reason Rangers fans are listening to this, just cover your ears and pretend I didn't say this. I would probably say that Corey Seager overall is a better athlete, a better like player. Like he's got the defensive capabilities along with the hitting capabilities. Now, I don't think Jordan is a slouch, but he at no point in time are you, going to say that Jordan Alvarez is a defensive wizard, right? So overall, I would say Corey Seager is has better the five tools essentially, like overall. But if we're talking just straight up game on the line, who do I want up at bat? It's going to be Jordan, hands down.
yeah, but in all fairness, Corey Seager has proven to also have a bit of a clutch gene as well. So I don't think if you're playing, fantasy baseball, if you had to pick between those two, I really don't think there's truly a wrong answer there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in the same breath, Corey Seager has also had injury history.
Mhm.
Not as much the last year or two, but when he was a Dodger, he was hurt seemingly all the time.
Right.
Yeah, his numbers could be above Trout's right now if he had stayed healthy. He's had
Probably,
extensive
yeah.
time out. I think he's had more trips to the IL than Trout has in his career. So that's the reason why I wouldn't pick Seager, because I mean our Angels announcers, they go gaga over him. If Susie, if you ever watch the Angels Rangers telecast, they're like, this guy's the best baseball player I've ever seen. It's like calm down, calm down. But he is very good. There's no doubt, and he's another one that kills Angel pitching. But I can't put him up there for the same reasons I don't put Trout up there, because he's never completely healthy.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, remember they walked Corey Seager with bases loaded.
Yeah, that
And
was
Mike Trout
brilliant.
was so confused out there. Okay, best pitcher in the division currently.
Best pitcher in the division currently. Oh, I would. God, love it. Ranger fans, close your freaking ears. Unfortunately, I have to give it to Jacob DeGrom when he's healthy. Will
DeGrom.
he?
Yeah.
Will he? You know, will he be able to go 20 starts this season? Probably not. But for like 10 of those starts, it's gonna be freaking electric. It's gonna be lights out. But if it's not Jacob DeGrom, like overall stuff wise, I would probably George Kirby's very good. That also tastes like soap coming out of my mouth. But I would probably have to say like Hunter Brown edges out Fromber by like a hair for me, just a tiny hair.
Okay.
I like calling him Farmer. I like Farmer or Kirby as best pitchers in the division.
Kirby was going to be my answer.
Kirby irritates me to no end, and that's why I didn't want to pick him. But
Both those guys do.
taking off my fan hat, it's probably it's one of those. But I love Fromber, but I've just watched Fromber too often to forget all of the blow-ups actually against your team.
Yeah. There you go.
Oh, that one game just kills me. Freaking anyways, but yeah, no, but yeah, probably overall stuff. Those guys.
Okay.
See, this is good. People can't say that we're completely haters. We're being honest. We're talking AL West. Nobody
Right.
can say, oh, Susie just hates all the other teams. Hey, you know what? We're having a constructive talk here. Okay.
No, you want to know my sneaky like AL West take?
Yeah. You know what? You go for it, and then we'll.
The No City Aths are going to be, I don't want to say a force, but they are going to be sneaky good this season. Now, are they going to, rival the top teams? Probably not, but The fact that Brent Rooker is up there, Lawrence Butler, good night. Jacob Wilson, I think is going to be there's going to be some hitters with the smaller ballpark, the heat. There's going to be some long home runs hit.
We'll see.
So
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of heat up there. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, in
But
Sacramento for
I
sure, the ball
think
carries.
I think the Aths are gonna surprise some people.
Yeah, I'm when it comes to the division, I think the Ass are going to do what they kind of did last year, which is be very competitive in August and a bit of May, and then or not August. I'm sorry, April and May, and then I think they're going to fall off a bit. I think the cream will rise to the top, but they will be a thorn in people's sides. They won't be as ineffective as they were in August and September as they were last year. They're going to be a bit upgrade. I think the Heat will kill them though towards the end.
Yeah,
The Heat will kill
it's gonna wear on them. But I think the Aths are gonna be. I think they're gonna surprise people.
I don't think you're gonna like my AOS prediction. I just didn't know if we were gonna get into this just yet. So Pacoda has Sacramento as only winning 71.8 games, so 72 games. Here's the thing with Sacramento this year, right? They are going to be good and contending because things are going to break their way. You already mentioned some of those pieces. They're locked in, so now they can truly feel like they're part of the core. I think Butler is going to have a true breakout season. We did start to see it near the end. He started to really, really show that he can be a dominant player in Major League Baseball. And perhaps having that contract, having the organization kind of take faith in him when they don't even know where they're playing really yet in a couple of years. It's not set in stone. Could go a really long way. I think things are going to go bad for him. I just think that something's going to catch up with him. Maybe it's going to be that 110-degree heat out in Sacramento, but I'm not buying it. I think something's going to happen. I'm not buying it.
So what's your 5 then if you want to do that?
Okay. I think Sacramento comes in last place. I think Seattle's going to come in 4th. I think their pitching is not going to have as good of a year. It's not going to be terrible, but their offense was nowhere to be seen. I mean, it was their division to lose last year, and they did exactly that. There was a large chunk of the year where they were kind of running away with it, and then Houston caught up. I think the Angels are going to be in 3rd place. I think Houston's going to come in 2nd. I think Texas is going to win the division. I think they are the team to beat.
What rotation? Rotation?
Here's the thing. Once again, is DeGrom going to not even be the DeGrom he was in New York? Even if DeGrom is half of what he was in New York, the scary thing is he's still a number 2 on almost every pitching rotation in Major League Baseball.
Yep, but he can only pitch every 5 days, if that. Don't get me wrong, Nathan Eovaldi, very good.
Yeah, Nathan Eovaldi is very consistent the last couple of years, right?
Yeah.
Consistent. What are you going to get out of Kumar Rocker?
But the fact that you've got Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter in your rotation, like Tyler Mahle coming off of TJ, I just, and if Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter light it up, good on you. But I don't know. Do you trust Chris Martin, 40-year-old Chris Martin, as a closer?
Yeah. It was
that bullpen is not good. I mean, they've got Robert Garcia from the Nats, and he's gross, but just I don't trust that bullpen. And besides Eovaldi and the 10 games you get out of Jacob deGrom, I don't see it.
I'll give you some numbers on mine real quick. I got the Ass to win 69 games, Grillmaster's favorite number. I got the Texas Rangers to come in at 80 and 82. I got the Angels to come in at 81 and 81. I'm with Fernando on the 3rd place. I got Seattle to come in at 85. I believe is 79 or no 76, something like that. Whatever. My math's off.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, whatever.
We're not mathematicians.
I'm not that Asian, so you can say any numbers to me. I will agree.
I didn't say
maths is not the thing.
He did not say that.
And I got Houston to win 87 games to win that division by 2 games.
Okay.
I think in theory it is the weakest the division has been in the sense of like normally it's Houston is the front runner. This is the first time where maybe Susie might actually agree with us. There could be a little bit more parity for some of the other teams to potentially contend.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely. I don't see 90 wins in this division. No way. That's just my opinion.
well, here's the thing. The way the division is set up, I could see every team winning 80 games, or I could see no teams winning 80 games. You know what I mean? That's what this year is going to be. Either everyone's going to do really well, and there might be like one team struggling, probably the Angels, or it's going to be,
Oh, that's
man,
a given.
everything clicked for everybody. You know, that's what it's going to be in this division.
Yeah, we did a prediction for the Astros last night on Bourbon and Baseball. Tom and I did, and Dom has great faith in this team, and he's like 95 wins. I'm all, in what world, sir? In what world? Don't get me wrong, I love our boys, but come on now, be a little bit more realistic. Like, what are we doing here? So he said 95. At no point in time am I doing that. I said anywhere from 88 to 90. And that's on, the 90s on the high side, right? Last season, we got off to a 12-27 start, and so we won 88 games, I think. At no point in time do I think that we are going to replicate that. However, I didn't think that we were going to start off like that last season. So, what the fuck do I know? So it's I see your point, that everybody can either do well or nobody can do well. Like that's fine. But I really feel with the addition of Cam Smith and kind of that like youthful energy, for lack of better word, I just I think we've I think it's gonna spark something, and I think it's gonna, you know, get a fire lit under. I don't know why I said it so country like that. Dang. It's gonna light a fire under fire. Like there was 4 syllables in that word, under us, and I don't know. And literally everyone, all of like the big podcasts and everyone's, the Rangers are gonna take it. The Rangers are gonna win the West. Okay. If,
Well,
sure.
here's the thing, right? So the Rangers' original window wasn't supposed to open till last year, right? That was kind of what they were saying.
Right.
Hey, that's where their playoff window is going to start. Bruce Bochy being Bruce Bochy. I think most baseball people love Bruce Bochy, one of the greatest baseball minds of, definitely my lifetime. Um, opened the window a little earlier, kind of like he did, with those Giants teams, turned something into or nothing into something. Sorry, but yeah, I do think personally they are the team to beat, and we will agree to disagree. I mean, hey, this is tough for me too. I love to sit here arguing for the Angels, but that's not the truth. I mean, I could see the Angels potentially flirting with some contention next year. My only hope for our team is that they're playing some meaningful games. I mean, forget past the All-Star break. I mean, in August would be great. I mean, just have something that matters. I mean, we were out seemingly by like May of last year.
Listen, if the listeners of the show do not know my history, I became a baseball fan in 2018. I started watching the Astros in 2018. So I've literally only known winning Astros teams and
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and winning
Pre-baseball
baseball.
Susie never saw 100 losses.
No, no, not at all. And so last year I got tested. My quote unquote fandom was tested hardcore. Because that was a tough watch at the beginning of the season. It wasn't great. But even the season before that though, when Dusty refused to play Yainer Diaz over Martin Maldonado, that was also a very, very hard watch. So it's it's one of those where it I'm now a baseball fan. Like if the Astros are losing and just sucking it up, I will go watch any of the other teams because I just enjoy watching baseball. So, and at that point, I will be happy because my blood pressure won't be sky high
Yeah.
because, the results won't matter to me as much, right? And I'll just enjoy the game of baseball at that point.
See, you say that now, and we've said that as a network for the last few years, but we're still paying attention, keeping that eye. One eye may be shut watching the other league, while the other eye is still focusing in on the Angels. And you still get upset, but then you go through all the motions. Uh, it's tough. It does test a lot of fans. We've lost a lot of fans. Obviously, the Otani factor was huge too, but
Right.
there's been a lot of people that have jumped off the bandwagon over the last few years that claim other teams or root for the team up north, and that's a given when the team isn't trying. But like Fernando said, they're kind of like making a different turn this season. They look a little bit better. We don't expect them to make the playoffs, but we do expect them to play meaningful baseball and fun baseball, and that's all we're asking as a fan base. Like we're not spoiled at this point. We're just looking for some improvement.
Right. Let me ask you guys a question.
course.
Ron Washington. What's the thoughts on Ron Washington?
Gonna go first, Todd?
Yeah, real quick. I think that if he gets the extension or whatever, I'm for it. I like the way the players react to him. It does take a couple years. I mean, when you're working with dog crap, you can only when he first got here. I mean, that's basically what he had. So I mean, he's gotten some pieces, but they still need a
You can
lot
only
more.
polish the turd so much.
Yeah, exactly. So I think in the long run, he's a good move, but he's already up in age. It depends on how long he wants to go and how long this organization wants to go. And if they have a plan, he is the man. But if they are just winging it year to year, it's not going to work.
I think Ron Washington is part of the path, but I don't think he's the ultimate destination. I think where he is right now, he's very good at player development, right? He has made a career of doing that. There's a lot of great players in baseball who have accredited a lot of their success to Ron Washington. I mean, even dating back to the movie Moneyball and the way they portrayed him there, right? There is a lot of baseball people who are better because they interact with Ron Washington. And with that being said, I think it was a very, very good time to hire him when you have guys like Shanuel who aren't the best defensive first baseman yet.
Right.
Zach Neto, who has shown flashes of being a great defender, but sometimes struggles to make the easy plays. Very much like Tatis was. Living in San Diego and growing up in San Diego, a lot of my friends are Padres fans, and all I ever heard was, man, did you see Tatis, make this incredible play? And, you turn on ESPN and the guy was always on the top 10 plays, but also nobody wanted to talk about the fact that he led the league in errors. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's important to be able to make those easy plays because we know Neto has the athleticism. And I think interacting with guys like Ron Washington will make the difference for that. So far, I really like Ron Washington's coaching staff. Are they perfect? No, but I like Barry Enright. I like Johnny Washington. So I like what Ron Washington has brought to the team. I think in 2 or 3 years, when this team's window is potentially open, a lot of these guys are going to credit that success to Ron Washington, and time will tell. But I don't see him being here too much longer.
Okay.
This is his final year under contract. I can maybe see. What do you think, Todd? Maybe like a 2-year extension if he's open to that. I mean, at some point he's got to walk away too, right?
Oh, I think absolutely. He I think me and you discussed before. He's a lifer, so I would think he can go to about 80. I think he's at 72 right now. So I mean, I think another
Hey,
two.
he's still young enough to run for president.
There you go. He's
Sure.
well qualified. 2 to 3 years would be the max, I think, though, unless they blew him away and he had this team really contending and you couldn't tell him no.
Yeah. What's your opinion on Ron Washington from the outside looking in? I mean, obviously, you know enough about the Angels.
I like him. I like him well enough. I think he's got some of that old school in him and just enough of the new school to be open to, like the analytics and stuff. But I like him for your club, like with a lot of young players, you know what I'm saying? Like that needs a little bit, I don't want to say like a heavier hand, but like I feel like Ron Washington maybe in a clubhouse full of like veterans maybe wouldn't work out so well, but I think with like the younger guys, I think he works better with those type of personalities. I I really liked the no phone policy in the clubhouse, and I was watching Logan O'Hoppe on Foul Territory when the guys kind of grilled him on that, and I liked that Logan was like, no, we decided on that like 2 weeks ago before it came out, and Wash was just kind of the one that just told the media that that's, what we were doing. It wasn't him, you know, putting his foot down and saying, "You're not allowed to use your phone." We wanted to, get better, get more communicative in the clubhouse. And so that's, that was what we were doing. And because everyone was just throwing Wash under the bus and was like, how are you gonna, tell grown men that they can't be on their phone? And from a perspective of a person who does this as it is, because when I don't want to talk to people, I would just bury my head in my phone and like not talk to people. Like, I don't want to make small talk. Like, no, thank you. And so I can only imagine in a clubhouse where you're trying to gel and, get that camaraderie. It would be hard if no one's talking and no one's joking around and, and communicating with one another. So, hats off to Wash for doing it and, putting in the work with the young guys. Like, I see him out there like working and still doing the infield drills and stuff. I'm all, Wash, you're like, can you get up from that position? Like, because I know, like, I can't. So, like, what's happening? But yeah.
Okay. Good to know. Yeah. Yeah, like I already said, I think Ron Washington's going to go a long way towards the future of the Angels. And speaking of the future of the Angels, I guess one of the last things I have is also from the outside looking in. Do you kind of see the direction that the Angels are going? And do you think that they are taking steps in the right direction to start competing here, in the near future? I'm really asking you to eat soap today. I know, I get it.
Possibly. I don't understand. I don't understand what we're doing with Reed Demers. Like, he can't be a starter, so we're gonna put him in the.
So he's a long reliever
in the bullpen, and is it Ryan Johnson? Is that the guy that you guys just signed?
Drafted for Shohei Ohtani for the compensation picks, and I'm comparing them to each other. Yes, that's
okay. So, what? Okay, like it's decisions like that I'm all, why? What are we doing? I think the Astros faced against Caden Dana. Is that one of yours? Yeah.
Mhm.
Last season, and he was literally up for like, I don't know, 5,
3
6,
games.
7 games, 3 games. Okay. And then he went back down. I'm all, okay, like, so the fact that like Logan O'Hoppe is there and doing the things, I think Logan O'Hoppe is great. Neto, Shanuel, I think could be great, but the fact that you're seeing their progression to greatness in the major leagues, maybe not the best look. So at this point in time, I don't I'm so sorry. I don't have faith in the Angels until you show me that like you can do it.
Well, let me ask you this. So
are you sure you're not an Angels fan?
Yeah, right.
Well, I will say that I really like the fact that you guys signed Darno. Like, I really like him. And I liked the fact that you brought over like that veteran leadership and that he can, spell O'Hoppe, and that, O'Hoppe didn't have to play all the 162, only like 130 maybe. I don't know.
He's a legitimate backup catcher. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's a well-respected veteran. He knows how to lead that portion of the battery. He knows how to take younger pitchers under his wing because he's done it, right, for years in Atlanta. So you kind of agreed with what I'd said about like, hey, Ron Washington, could kind of help these young guys. Ron Washington has a reputation of doing that. So let me ask you this. So you said, O'Hoppe, Neto, Shanuel, they're kind of having to learn. They're having to build the plane as they're crashing, right? That's kind of the best way to put it.
Kind of, yeah.
Plane's kind of crashing, and you're having to build on the fly. So with that being said, Ron Washington being the player development guy that he's proven to be, is it not better for them to learn at the major league level? And I understand that's not traditional, but also if Ron Washington's the most knowledgeable at player development in the organization, Don't you want them around him?
Yeah. And at that point in time, like I guess that's more of a, I don't want to say like an organizational failure that
Oh no, it is.
the double A or the triple A, you know, teams, coaches, managers, whatnot, aren't you're not confident in their capabilities to do that. I just, you know, if I will say, if Yusei Kikuchi can maintain his Astro Yusei Kikuchi and not revert back to Blue Jays Yusei Kikuchi, hats off. That will be the ultimate test for me, just as personally.
Okay.
That'll
So,
come down the end right, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
you know, and that's, I guess that's part of like the thing. Like I don't understand why the Reed Detmers. I mean, because like I see his stuff. I see that he's like got gross stuff. Why can we not like fix him?
I'll put it to you this way: when the Angels draft, they draft by name or ability only. They don't do their homework. They don't investigate the person on the inside, and I think that has a lot to do with it. That's why we had issues with Sandoval. That's why we had issues with Canning. Detmers is a deer in headlights one day, and he's a beast the next. He can't put it together, and unfortunately, it seems like recently though the team had and the organization have found more guys mentally competent to handle the mound situations, whereas I guess the regime before or the guys they had before weren't exactly looking into that aspect of the game. Thus, Reed Detmers looks great on the outside, like when you see that convertible, but under the hood, it's not all there. Well, same thing with Detmers, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, whether you play softball or baseball, almost everybody wants to be a pitcher, right? That's kind of what everyone's like, hey, I want to pitch when coach asks. And I think at this point, you have to know that not everybody can pitch because it's such a mental game. They always say that baseball, you have to have short-term memory, goldfish brain, if you will.
Right.
But it's extra too when it comes to pitching. If you're a bullpen guy, you could be 100 miles Giles coming out of the bullpen and be a dominant closer for 2 or 3 weeks. And then you're going to have 2 or 3 weeks where, man, you can't get somebody out. You're the worst pitcher. And that's just what baseball is. It's a game of adjustments. And that's why certain people can stay at that elite level. And that's why other people can't. And Reed Detmers just hasn't been able to prove that he can stay at that elite level for a long period of time. To start last year, people were starting to use the A word. Hey, maybe this guy's an ace. And unfortunately, the rest of the league caught up with him.
Yeah, if the season was only April, he could have been an MVP for the league, but unfortunately, there's a few more months than April. But Susie, where can they find you on social media and everything for your podcast as well?
You can find Bourbon and Baseball on the YouTubes, obviously. You can find us on Instagram at Bourbon and Baseball Pod. You can find us on Twitter. I will never call it X because I'm old, at Bourbon in B-Ball, the letter N. And, like I said, we talk about the Astros. We do have 2 separate shows. We have a dedicated Astros show. And then we have an All the Balls edition where we talk about all of the teams, all of the leagues, AL, NL, all the fun stuff. So if, talking about the Astros, you'd rather stick rusty knives in your ears, by all means, join us on the All the Balls edition and, get your fill of other teams.
Sounds good. Fernando, any last things?
No, Susie, anything else we need to look out for with the Astros? Anything the audience needs to know?
Cam Smith is an aircraft carrier.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yep.
There you go. Normally people use terms like freight train or things like that, but
Nope.
whatever.
Aircraft carrier. That's what Dana Brown called them very early on. And the fan base was just all, I'm sorry, a what? And so, now it's just kind of stuck, and that's what he is.
Well, there you go.
That's how things get started. Now, hey, merchandise opportunities.
There you
Absolutely. Well, we're pumped for the 2025 baseball season. I know Fernando is. You are as well. And let's get it started, shall we?
Absolutely.
Definitely. Appreciate y'all having me on again.
Thanks for coming on.
We'll do it again soon.
Bye, guys.